Hi guys, welcome to Sample Tools by CR2, and today we're going to be taking a look at dealing with transients and peaks by using compression and some other techniques. You may find that in your drum bass or your vocals or whatever it may be that some peaks start to pop through, and that can sound really aggressive and quite uncomfortable to the ear, but you want to maintain the dynamic. It's a compromise between controlling and keeping the character. But I'm going to show you guys how to get the best of both worlds. Let's have a listen to the section that we're going to process. So we can see here that it's rather quiet, and then we've got this peak all of a sudden, and then it goes quiet again. Now, we're probably going to focus on compressing this section here, but before we do that, let's get a good idea of where we want the threshold, because we don't want to compress too much of the main body, the main sort of drums, and then we'll see how it affects this peak. I'm going to be using the Fab Filter Pro C2, so I'm just going to switch that on. We've got a threshold of 0, so no compression happening right now. Ratio of 4:1, kind of medium ratio, fast attack, fast release, and we've also got auto gain on. So as I pull the threshold down, it adds some volume back. Now, I find the auto gain on the Pro C2 usually adds a little bit too much auto gain, so I'm actually going to bring it down by 2 dB. Right, let's pull the threshold down so we're just getting a little bit of compression on these peaks here. We can see here we're getting almost 2 decibels of gain reduction, but you can barely hear it, and that's because of that very clever auto gain that's actually pulling it up and down. Now let's have a listen and have a look at the levels with and without the compression. So without, we're peaking at 12.3, and with, okay, so we're peaking a little bit more than I thought we would. So let's bring this down further. Let's bring this down by -4. Let's make sure that attacks really fast. Okay, let's try again. That's a little bit better. So I think that auto gain, sometimes it comes off a little hot. It's really clever, but it just needs taming, and it's something worth checking on a level meter. Of course, using your ears is also very helpful. So with and without. So we can hear it just taming these sections here. Now, what I want to do is I want to increase the ratio, which is basically going to increase the amount of compression that happens above the threshold line. Okay, so this is the threshold line. So the amount of compression that happens above that is going to increase. So now any peaks that we hear are going to be compressed further. So let's increase that as it's playing. We can see it's increased it to 2.7 dBs there. Now I think 8 is probably just a little high, so I'm going to back off to about 6. Now, I'm not too worried about this really fast attack setting because I'm trying to deal with those peaks. What I might do is set an auto release setting. Because things are getting louder and quieter, I need to make sure that the release isn't going to come back too quickly when something really loud happens, therefore bringing up the floor noise. So let's try it with it on and with it off and see if we can notice the difference even with this small amount of compression. I mean, as subtle as it is, it does sound a little smoother, so I'm going to go with the auto release. Now let's go to the section that we actually do want to compress. We want to compress this section here because we want to deal with this peak, which fires out. Here's the section without the compression, just to remind you how it sounds. It's some sort of low percussive hit, which I really like the character of, but I do think it's going to cause issues later down the line, especially when it comes to mastering. So let's turn the compressor on with the settings that we've already set. And without. Notice how that peak jumps all the way to minus 6.8, and we're actually reducing it by about 6 decibels. So overall what we've done is we've taken that peak and we've brought up the quieter parts of the drums, therefore leveling it out a little bit. Another great way of dealing with peaks is using something like overdrive. Now, you may not want to use this if your drums already sound quite distorted, but overdrive is a great way to cut the peaks again and make things sound a little bit more interesting. I'm going to open this tone, I'm going to bring the output down, and I'm going to bring the drive to 0, level compensation on, and then I'm going to do save as default. So every time I open this, it's going to open like this. And this is because these settings are neutral. It's not going to add or remove anything. It might reduce the volume a little bit, but what we're trying to do is make sure we've got the sort of neutral starting ground. I'm going to open the level meter again, just so we can analyze how loud the signal is. Okay, now I'm going to increase the drive until I notice a tone change, and then I'm going to bring the output down to match the volume. Let's have a look at the level meter now. Okay, so it's a little bit louder. Let's bring it down by a decibel. And without, again, looking at the level meter. So it says it's half a decibel louder, but it does actually sound, it's half a decibel quieter, but it does actually sound half a decibel louder. And that's because overdrive does a similar thing to what the compressor is doing, and it just trims off those peaks by forcing them into the resistor. Let's listen again with and without. Now, you can use the compressor and the overdrive in conjunction with each other. It's all about whether you want something that's a little cleaner, aka the compressor, or something that has a little bit more tone, aka the overdrive. Or, if you really want, use both. Using both can create the tonal effect and give you the control that you want over your peaks and transients.
Remember, at Sample Tools by CR2, we also offer a mix and mastering service. Just head over to www.sampletoolsbycr2.com, click on the Mastering tab, and you'll find our range of services there.